It needed to happen. It finally did happen. Welcome back to the Believe in Jets podcast. My name is Rami Lavi. We'll talk to Antoine Staley tomorrow for more on this game. And he was there, obviously, in the building, covers the Jets for the New York Daily News. But what a job by the Jets. Absolutely dominating the Patriots. Finally at MetLife Stadium. That's what they needed to do. They needed to come out and crush them. And it couldn't have been enough in my book. There wasn't enough crushing that you could have had of the New England Patriots. If the Jets ran up the score to 50, I would have loved to see that. A much-needed win for the Jets. That's the first thing. But the main point, and this is the biggest number one takeaway from this game, and we'll get into it a little bit more. We'll obviously talk to Bilal. We have a lot of time, 10 days off. And I said this with Bilal on the pregame show, on the preview podcast. We talked about how if they lose this game, it feels like a month between the two games because all of a sudden you're waiting and waiting and waiting for the next game with that loss looming, 1 and 2, all the question marks, everything we'd be feeling right now. Instead, coming off the win and the way the Jets won this game in convincing fashion, it's going to feel like Sunday's going to be so relaxing. We're going to sit there, and the bookmakers, they were right. Bet Online, I'll give it to you guys. Great sponsor of the show. Thanks for sponsoring the show. I'll give it to you. You guys were right. You guys had the proper spread for this game. The spread was what, 6.5 for this game. And it should have been, because guess what? The Jets dominated. It should have been higher. Me and Bilal both took the Patriots +6, +6.5. We each thought it would kind of be around a touchdown game, a 6-point game. It wasn't even close. And the Jets, think about this, the first drive, because every drive looked awesome, but the first drive of the game, they could have gone up by even more, right? They could have gone up to start the game, but there's a holding, and then there's a sack, and then from there, the drive kind of stalls, but they looked awesome right out of the gate. And then the drive at the end of the half, where the clock was just terribly mismanaged by Saleh. And I saw a funny tweet that was like, I can't wait for the Jets to run out of timeout just so that Saleh's not handling the clock anymore. Funny. But they could have, they kicked the field goal and miss it there. So they would have scored at least, you think, twice they were in field goal range. One time they get sacked and penalized out of it. And then the other time they missed the field goal. That's at least 30 points right there. This Jets offense was awesome. And most of all, though, in this game, aside from the Jets offense being great, was Aaron Rodgers. And it wasn't just what we saw the last couple of weeks, because hand up, I was wrong. Hand up, Bilal was wrong. And I'm sure I'm going to give him shit about it on next episode, next time I talk to him, because he was wrong about Aaron Rodgers. He said this is who he is now. He's just not going to be the same guy, not going to have the same mobility. He's just going to be an in-the-pocket type of quarterback, make all the throws. But when it comes to moving out of the pocket, throwing on the run, even navigating in the pocket, scrambling, that's not going to be who he is anymore. And boy, was he wrong. This guy was everywhere, scrambling out of the pocket, running up the sideline, throwing on the run. Every time he moved out of the pocket, extended the plays. And it wasn't clunky. I talked about the first 2 weeks. It looked so choppy when he was it looked like he was thinking about how, okay, right foot, left foot, how to take each step. Not tonight. Tonight was incredible. Tonight he was just running like it was 5 years ago. And Kirk said it. Al Michaels said it, and Kirk said something really funny that I noted. Kirk goes, "Yeah, I'm not even thinking about it anymore. When I see Rodgers running up the sideline, I'm just I'm not holding my breath anymore." And Al's like, "I think 75,000 fans here are still holding their breath." And I was at home. I was watching it. I'm like, yes, I'm still holding my breath. Every time he maneuvers, every time he gets hit, but he was taking big hits, taking big sacks, tackles from behind, late hits, which he took a late hit penalty, late hits after he was running and sliding and all that stuff. And guess what? He got up every time. And not only did he get up, but he looked insane. I thought the fact that 4 days later, and this is what Rodgers has talked about all year, some days I feel like I'm 40, some days I don't. But the fact that 4 days after looking like he looked in Tennessee, he was able to scramble out, roll out, and make those throws on the run. How many times did he roll out of the pocket to his left and throw and we've seen him do that 1,000 times. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have expected this, but 4 days later to do that, I would have expected it if he looked as slow and as bad as he looked in Tennessee. As far as mobility, of course, he looked great with the arm and the accuracy and all that. I get that. He led them. The offense looks fine in Tennessee. But for him to look as slow and choppy outside the pocket as he did in Tennessee, and to come back and look like this with the mobility, I would have never expected this. I like really would have never ever expected this. This was just awesome. I mean, I don't remember seeing a Jets offense ever look like this in my life. And like I said, there wasn't enough points to be scored in this game to beat it to the Patriots because that offensive line, I don't care how shitty they are, they should have gotten 100 sacks, the Jets defensive line. And by the way, Will McDonald and all the guys doing the celebration, the Jermaine Johnson celebration, that was awesome. That was like, heartwarming to see. These guys love him so much and the way they feel about him. So that was awesome to see. And he was tweeting about it. And like clearly they love him. But the defense looked awesome. How about Quinnen Williams in this game? Quinnen Williams was all over the place. We talked about this before the episode, or before the game, on the episode before the game, Bilal and I. And we talked about, man, Quinnen, not the same guy. What's happening this year through 2 games? He was awesome in this game. And the Jets defense, I know, they weren't really challenged. This offensive line with the 2 rookies starting and the backups and all that. And it's Jacoby Brissett out there. I get all that. And by the way, I was right. Look, the Jets were up a ton and Drake May came into the game. I said that would happen. It did happen. Not exactly the way I said it was going to go. And I'm happy about it. But yeah, that was awesome. That was just one of the things that you love to see, was this defense finally coming together and making plays over and over again. Just one of those things. And how about Mike Williams also on the offensive side, another guy. He looked great in this game. By the way, Rodgers had that one throw that was off to Garrett Wilson. And if he completes that throw, he has his first game of 300 plus passing yards. All the things, it's been this long since Aaron Rodgers thrown for over 300 yards. Who cares? I think he wanted it. He was clearly pissed afterwards. Like, I think he wanted it because he has and it just goes to show you, Rodgers, the chip on his shoulder actually affects his play on the field because he hears all the noise. So when he hears the 300-yard passing game, he what's it called? He wants to go out there and throw for 300 yards. Now, everyone's freaking out also about the interaction between Rodgers and Salah. I love it. That's Rodgers. I don't know. That's just prime Rodgers. He's pissed. Like, somebody said, I think Lazard said it, we want to see him be more of a dick. Like, we want to see Aaron Rodgers be more of an asshole. Like, we want to see the angry Aaron Rodgers. We don't want this nice guy. And I love that. I want to hear that. I want to hear that they want to see the guy who's going to come up there and be a jerk, right? That's the Aaron Rodgers we all knew and loved in Green Bay. I want him to be comfortable. So Salah acting all giddy like a little, schoolgirl after the touchdown. Ooh, and Rodgers like, bro, it's the second quarter. Relax. Like, that's how he should be. I love that from Rodgers. Like, he's taking control. Salah's still pathetic. Like, if you watch this game, you know how pathetic Robert Saleh is because how many times did they take dumb penalties, both on offense and on defense? How undisciplined was this team? The holes sometimes on the defensive side. So, look, all those things that happened, the only reason the Jets didn't score 50 points in this game, and it wasn't 50-0, and instead it was 24-3, was because Robert Saleh, was because of dumb miscues, dumb mistakes, poor clock management that Salah has done over and over and over again. And Rodgers is going to have to help clean that up. Like I said earlier, somebody tweeted out something very clever. I hope the Jets use up all their timeouts so that Rodgers could just have full control. And there's no timeouts. He'll be fine without the timeouts. But sometimes it feels that way. And, maybe Salah shouldn't even be calling timeouts on offense. Like, it should only be in Rodgers' hands. And look, sometimes there's sloppy things. And again, even after some of the plays, Rodgers, when he took a big hit, Lazard goes up someone, Rodgers grabs Lazard by the jersey, just pulls him by the jersey. But all these things, it just reminds you that this guy, this is who he is. This is who we've waited for. And Jet fans, you deserve this because we've waited so long. We've waited all of last year to see this. And this wasn't even the hype because people have been pointing this out on social media. Connor Hughes has been pointing this out. He wasn't even on the same page with Garrett Wilson half the time. Like, it wasn't it wasn't as good as it could be. As amazing as Rodgers was, and the health part of it, the mobility part of it, there are so many parts of it that are amazing. I still think there's another step, there's another level that Aaron Rodgers can get to that he's not quite at yet. And to think that that's possible, that's absurd. That is mind-boggling that there's still another level that Aaron can get to that he's not even fully at yet. And that is just awesome. That's incredible to think that, this is not even the best it can be, as good as it looked tonight, as good as things look tonight. And so you got to be excited about the season. You're 2-1. You have a long break, almost a reset. And next Sunday is almost like the re-home opener against the Broncos. Like, okay, now we have a little stretch. We're going to have a bunch of games in a row on Sundays, although, the London game, and then you come home. I think it's a primetime game after that. So again, it's going to be pretty crazy. But like I said, this was awesome to watch. Every part of this was amazing to watch. Um, Rodgers also another thing about his mobility, when he handed off, he wasn't just standing back there and like awkwardly tugging at his jersey and adjusting himself, like I said with Bilal this morning. He was like looking to run and throw blocks. Like he wanted to get physical in this game. One of the most impressive things I saw in this game from this offense was actually unbelievable because they're going to keep using both these running backs. Braylon Allen on the no gain, when he got blown up in the backfield, like guy steaming through the offensive line, finds the gap, full speed, literally digs his shoulder and plows Braylon Allen in the backfield, like what should have been a 4-yard loss. And Braylon Allen just kind of like shrugged it off, stood there, and then dove forward for a no gain. That was the most impressive play from the offense the entire day, which was crazy because it was a no gain on the play. But just goes to show you how special that guy can be. And that two-headed monster there. Obviously, Brees gets a touchdown again. And Garrett, who was my touchdown scorer before the game, he got the touchdown. I love that Garrett got the touchdown because there was the play before where Garrett slips away on the screen pass, almost gets in, and then at the last second dives and misses the touchdown. And they go on first and goal from like the 1-yard line. They line up in a passing formation. Like Aaron's like, no, I want to get my guy a touchdown. That throw also was just stupid. Throws it to the right side. How many times have we seen as Jet fans a throw in tight quarters like that with the corner right all over him? That's an interception. Like with every other Jets quarterback in my lifetime. Instead, it's the perfect spot between the sideline and Garrett where only he can make a play on it. The defender can't make a play on it. It's either out of bounds, incomplete, or a touchdown, and it was a touchdown, and it was awesome. And Rodgers wanting to get Garrett that touchdown after he just missed it. So Aaron looked awesome, 280 yards, obviously 2 touchdowns, and running the ball to 16 yards, as good as anything. And how about Tyler Conklin finally showing up in this offense as well? And by the way, good bump for me because Conklin is on my fantasy team, and I was ready to be like, no, like the Jets offense is going to be good, but Rodgers isn't exactly the same guy. The scramble drills when he finds a tight end, we may never see that again. And then all of a sudden he's doing the scramble drills again and he's getting outside the pocket again. And all of a sudden he looks like the guy that we thought Aaron Rodgers, I said Rodgers may never be the guy the Jets traded for. And yet still he could be better than anything the Jets have ever had. This is the guy that the Jets traded for. Like I was feeling more things watching this game than any of the previous games. Like the previous games, sure, I did feel like, wow, Rodgers, and it's so good. We have an offense. This game felt different. And anyone who watched this game understood that this game felt different, that there was something special about the way he looked tonight, because this was different than anything we've seen from him this year. This is the guy the Jets traded for. When I had my dreams, when I closed my eyes at night, when I look at Rodgers for all those years when I rooted for him in Green Bay, because I've always been a huge Rodgers fan, this was the guy I rooted for. And seeing that for the first time was just special. I was just it felt like the home opener or the season opener again. It felt like watching him all over again. It felt like we could have rewinded a year, and it's starting to heal. And it needs to continue. Trust me, 3 games is not what we signed up for. We want a full season of this. And this version of Aaron Rodgers can be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. If the defense looks this good, which again, Patriots offense, I get it, not great. So we'll put a pin in that and hope the defense continues to get better. And by the way, negative night for Hassan Reddick, the defensive line, stock down for Hassan Reddick, who was tweeting some cryptic things before the game. But this is an offense, and this is a quarterback who is better or as good as any other quarterback in the league. Make no mistake about that. Watching this guy tonight, there is nothing anyone in the league, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, all of them included, that they have on this guy when he's looking the way he did tonight. Yes, there were some issues. There were some clunkers, a couple of missed throws. He wasn't on the same page as Garrett the whole night. There was some penalties that need to be cleaned up, a couple of delayed games again. But man, this was absolutely insane. Connor tweeted this. Obviously, I had him on the podcast talk about the Rodgers book. If Aaron Rodgers at 40 looks this mobile for the rest of the game and the rest of the season, I think fans will accept an occasional shove of Robert Saleh, which was awesome. Of course, Will McDonald, another couple sacks. And like I said, it was all around. It was the perfect game. Jets fans needed this. You needed not just a win, not just because a close win wouldn't have felt the same. You need a blowout. There weren't enough points you could have had. So my instant reaction is just that is Aaron Rodgers. I said he was my X factor going into this game because this is a game we needed to see prime Aaron Rodgers. I thought it was going to be because it was a close game and he was going to have to bail them out. But no, seeing prime Aaron Rodgers look like prime Aaron Rodgers makes me feel that when we are in a close game later in the year, when there's a game that the Jets need to pull out and we're scared what's going to happen in this game, Rodgers can pull it out for you. Rodgers can be the savior. Rodgers can escape the rush. Rodgers can step up in the pocket. Rodgers can run for a first down when the play breaks down on a 3rd and 7. This is the guy that we traded for. This is the guy the Jets hoped and dreamed of, and I never thought we'd see that after the first couple of weeks. I never thought we'd see that after the injury last year. I never thought we'd see that again. The fact that he did it at home on the MetLife Stadium field is just remarkable, and hopefully everyone recovers healthy. The Morgan Moses, will have to find out about that injury with the knee, but that's why you draft a backup offensive lineman in the draft. That's why you don't go, and run for the shiny toy. Obviously, also, how everyone looked, including what was I going to say? Yeah, the offensive line looked awesome in this game. And another thing that somebody pointed out, but I love this, John Simpson standing up after there was a little extra shove at the end of a play. John Simpson running over to the defender. Just a chemistry and a certain toughness, and you don't mess with us that the Jets showed in this game. That the first couple of games of the year we didn't see it. Almost felt like they saved it for the home opener. Like, we're going to show you who we really are. The first 2 games of the year, I kept calling it preseason. Felt like preseason. Now the season's underway. They have 10 days off. They can rest. Everyone can rest, recover, and come into the next phase of the season. We're 2-1 now. We showed what we're capable of. Now let's really lock in, crush the Denver Broncos in a week and a half, and then take it from there, go to London and see what happens. So one game at a time, obviously, but tonight was freaking awesome. So until next time, we'll talk to you, Antoine, tomorrow. We'll talk to Bilal next week. We'll do a whole bunch of other stuff. Maybe we'll get Fitz on and all that. So until next time, like, subscribe, share the podcast. Appreciate you all for listening. See ya.